Alright, this is going to be longer than some of my previous videos. The ps1 is my childhood console, and there's just a lot of games that I wanted to try out. Over 90 games, in fact. Originally, it was almost 200, but that felt like too much, so I narrowed it down. As usual, I'll leave a link in the description to all the previous consoles I've done this with. So how does this work? I'm going to play each game a minimum of 20 minutes. I can play it longer, or to completion if I feel like, but each game will have a minimum of 20 minutes. I'll then pick my top 10 favorites of the games I played. Also, only one per franchise. The reason for this is so that the list isn't filled with Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3 as like all my top 10s, you know? That way the top 10 will have some variety. Spin-offs are okay though, because they are different. So I could have, let's say, Crash Bandicoot 3, but I could also have Crash's racing game in my list too, because they're separate. I choose games based off what I've played before, what is popular, games recommended to me, and any game that just looks good that I want to try out. Most of these games will be from the USA, as I only speak English. And without further ado, let's begin this colossal video. Arthur Ready to Race is based off the PBS show Arthur. And now, yeah, this game is for little kids, but I still wanted to try it out. The game features some really bad cutscenes, and the plot of the game is to get car parts for a big race. The loading screen picture of Arthur looks like he has a smiley face on his face. The racing in this game is it's basic, but then there's like an open world you can run around it with Arthur in, and that's really cool. It's super small though, so it's more of like a little hub world, but it's still pretty cool. You go to different characters and do different mini games for them to collect car parts. The game is great for kids, however it's a bit too simple and basic for me as I'm an adult, but I still enjoyed the game. Batman and Robin is a tie-in game to the awful movie. The game looks good for the PlayStation 1 and it's ambitious as hell, with an open sandbox world and a drivable Batmobile. Take that, Arkham Knight. Now the world is samey though, and the draw distance is bad. And the citizens, also not good. The game also allows you to play as Robin and Batgirl as well. There's also a lot of detective work in this one, and looking at things on the Bat computer. Combat is awful. Some of the worst I've ever experienced. Basically, this game is super ambitious for the time. It had so many good ideas, but didn't execute any of them well at all. If it was made at a different time, and possibly not tied into the movie, this could have been an awesome game. As it is though, it's more just ambitious and bad. Blasto is a game where you play as Blasto, a space dude who wants to save women from aliens. It's a shooter with some collection elements. Like you collect women almost like they're trophies. It's not very good at all, and each level looks kinda samey. Burnswick Circuit Pro Bowling 2 was the bowling game I would go to before Wii Bowling came out. After that, I can name no other bowling games, because I rarely bowl in real life, let alone video games. Anyway, the game is, it's bowling. Basically, you want to get the timing and placement and spin right. It's bowling. The best parts are it has some kind of funky music and there's some player reactions. You can also create a bowler and bowl at night for some neon bowling, so that's cool overall. Honestly, overall this game is bowling. Bushido Blade is an interesting fighting game in that you can kill your opponent in one hit. So that's pretty cool, but I wish it was just like a mode in something like Soul Calibur and not its own game, as Bushido Blade is a bit dated. I do enjoy how it can make me laugh sometimes though.
本気で行きます。はいはい、いやー、はい、おい、いけ、女性は切りたくない。
Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is based off the old TV show with the same name. This show seems to be almost forgotten about though, as this whole new Lightyear movie's coming out, and I've heard almost nothing about the old TV show. The game looks a lot like Blasto, and basically you run and gun and fight an easy boss at the end of each level. It's a very mediocre game. I have a review of this game as well on my channel you can watch, and I have gameplay if you want to see more. Cardinal Sin is a game I wasn't allowed to have as a kid because it had sin in the title. But you think that fucking stopped me? Nah. And what is this game that I fought so hard to have? It's a very mediocre fighter set in fantasy. It's kinda like Soul Calibur, but not as good. It does have cutscenes for each character though, so that's cool. Castlevania games are okay. I neither hate nor love them, they just fall into an okay category for me. But Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of the best Castlevania games made ever. It's at the top of tons of PlayStation game lists, as well as the top of tons of Castlevania games lists. If you are a Castlevania fan, this is a must play. I enjoyed it more than most of the Castlevania games, but I'm not in love with the Castlevania series. Centipede is a 3D reboot of the classic Centipede game, where you go through different areas, save people, and kill giant bugs for points. It's pretty basic, it's pretty arcadey. The biggest standout for me is the music though, because it kinda slaps. City of Lost Children is based off the very weird French film of the same name. I really enjoy how it looks, the strange pre-rendered backgrounds and overall atmosphere is really cool. Unfortunately, the gameplay is pretty bad. Lots of running around, unsure where to go or what to do. It's an interesting oddity, I just wish there was other things to do in the gameplay than walking and talking. Crash Bandicoot is a platformer with jumping and spinning. That's about it. Yet as simplistic as it is, it's also really fun. It's very similar to how old school 2D platformers work. Specifically, it reminds me most of Donkey Kong Country. Anyway, you run from beginning to end, and it just does what 2D platformers do, but in 3D. There's not a lot of variety, and that's okay. Some people like the main platforming only, some people like variety. Personally, I like it both ways, and I think the game is well built around the formula it has. Crash 2 plays very similar to the first one, but the biggest differences have to be the levels have some variety in how they look now, and on top of that, the game is far easier. Easy doesn't mean bad. I far too often hear how only good games are hard. Please ignore the idiots who say this. They can like harder games more, but difficulty does not dictate how good a game is. I happen to love some easy games, and I happen to love some hard games. Variety is the spice of life, and if every game was Dark Souls, I wouldn't be a gamer. The difficulty, in my opinion, should only be addressed as bad if it's non-existent in the gameplay itself, or if it's so hard it's broken. All other difficulties, in my opinion, are good. Crash 3 adds more level variety. It now has many different types of gameplay from the main platforming. This can be good or bad depending on what you like. While I do like the new variety, I gotta say, not all level types are good, specifically the water levels. I feel like a general rule is that water levels always suck because they change the mechanics of the game into something much worse. On the other hand, the variety can be good. I enjoyed these temple run styles of levels a lot, and I think the third Crash game is my personal favorite. On to Crash spin-offs. We have Crash Bash, Crash's version of Mario Party. Now, unlike Mario Party, this game somehow manages to not be fun. It is also a team-based game where the second player or the computer will be your teammate to compete in all the party games. There's really only 5 mini-games and just a bunch of variations out of the 5. The games range from mediocre to not fun. On top of that, this is the only party game I've ever played that's only 2-player, making it not much of a party. Crash Team Racing is a pretty solid kart racer. There are plenty of racers I like better, but Crash Team Racing is honestly a solid game you can't go wrong with. Dead or Alive is a franchise that isn't too bad. The first one plays kind of well. Kind of reminds me of Tekken. A unique thing is any ring out is an explosion, which doesn't add a lot to the game, but it's still interesting. The controls are a little different, mostly in terms of defense, but overall it's very similar to Tekken, though with far, far greater emphasis on boob jiggles. Overall, it's pretty good, but I'd still take the Tekken games over the Dead or Alive games. Die Hard Trilogy is a game loosely based on the films. I only saw Die Hard 1, so I can't say how close the others are, but it's a very arcadey game, and each film has its own mode. Die Hard 1 is a third-person shooter where you kill hordes of enemies, which is really fun, but is also really far away from the stealthy, careful nature of how he had to fight enemies in the film. The goal being to climb to the top of the building while saving hostages on the way. It is fun, but it doesn't feel Die Hard to me just because of how, it's more like, what, Rambo or something? Just where you're just killing so many enemies. Commando? The second game within it follows the second movie, and it's an on-rail shooter. And the last one is racing around the city in cars. Honestly, the game packs a lot of fun, and the first mode is my favorite. Having the others is still cool too. Lots of love went into this game, and you can feel it. Die Hard Trilogy 2. It seems to be just one game mode, unlike the others. And it's a third-person shooter following, I'm assuming, the fourth movie? It's honestly not bad, and it's far less arcade-like. Enemies are set, and planning your attacks is more important. It also handles better, and you can do things like jump through windows. I honestly like this one a lot. Driver 2 was one of the first open-world sandbox games, kinda like GTA 3. It's super ambitious, however, it is so dated, and the texture poppin' is bad. It visually is ugly, and you spend most of your time within the car. I commend it for being ambitious, but GTA 3 did come out 1 year later, making it dated only a year after its release. E.T. Extraterrestrial Interplanetary Mission is a game that feels weird to come out, because was E.T. hype even existent in early 2000? Most of what you do is collecting and puzzle solving. It wasn't bad, but it was incredibly forgetful, except for the way you run. That will never get old. Fighting Force is a 3D beat-em-up. Beat-em-ups were dying out around this time, or attempting to transition to 3D. Fortunately, they're making a comeback now, but this was one of the earliest 3D beat-em-ups. It's really not too bad, and I could see myself having fun playing with friends. It's no Streets of Rage or anything, but for what it is, it's not too bad. Plus, you can use guns and a variety of other weapons. Fighting Force 2 is a huge step in the wrong direction. No character select and only one player, which in my opinion is always bad for a beat-em-up. While you can still have fun one player, beat-em-ups are best with friends. The game is also much lamer than the first, and combat ends so quickly, leaving you in just an empty-ass room. The game kinda sucks. Final Fantasy VII. I know this is like the number one PS1 game on so many lists, so I had to give it a try. I can't say I like the art style, but I also don't dislike it enough to affect me. Plus, it weirdly changes to one I like better when you're in the battle mode. Overall, this felt fine. With RPGs, though, they take so much time to play through, so they gotta grab and hold my attention from the beginning. And yeah, Final Fantasy VII starts strong, but it just didn't feel like it was for me. I'd say for sure give it a try, but as for me, after 20 minutes, I was ready to move on. Okay, you already know based off what I just said that sometimes I have opinions no one agrees with. But here I am with another. Final Fantasy VIII got my attention much more. The graphics, the setting, the way I learned about the characters, all of it I felt myself getting into. After a bit of the combat, though, I decided I didn't want to put in the time to beat it. You may think I'm lazy, but dude, I play so many games, and I assume this game is 50 plus hours to beat, and that's a lot of time to put into a game I'm only minorly interested in. Final Fantasy Tactics is one I for sure expected to fall in love with, as I love the Shining Force series. Weirdly, though, this wasn't my thing. The 3D made it more annoying for me, honestly, as buildings and such would, block my way. And I wasn't a fan of the controls. I'm sure it's a fine game, but I'll be sticking to Shining Force. Grand Theft Auto's first game sucks ass. That's right, I don't care if my opinion's controversial. This one sucks ass. It controls like shit. It's ugly, it feels dated as hell. I never want to go back to this ugly shit. GTA 2 does fix some of the issues, mainly controls, but it's still an ugly, dated game that I would take the 3D GTA games over any day. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is a movie tie-in game. It's both good and really bad. I made a full review on it you could watch, but I feel like if I just show you a scene, you can kind of decide whether it's for you or not.
Crab, take care of this upstart. Now, Potter, I'll give you a taste of my super wizard crackers.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is the sequel, and it's very similar to the first. Again, I have a full review of it on my channel, but yeah, this one does some things better and some things worse than the first. Both are worth a play, but are they good? I mean, so bad they're good. International Track and Field 2000 is a game where you choose an Olympic sport. Wonder why you can't win ever? And spend a lot of time hearing this.
Disqualified. You need a little more practice. Disqualified. You need a little more practice.
Yet its funky beats and variety keep making me attempt to play it. And I do sometimes do good, but it's so damn unsatisfying to play, and it's not worth your time. Lego Rock Raiders is a game where you mine and look for rocks, and it sucks. There really isn't more to that. Play Minecraft instead, or any of the newer Lego games. Star Wars and up. LSD Dream Emulator is a Japanese game where you walk through strange dreams, and they change based on what you touch. There's no win or lose, it's more of an experience. A very weird, bizarre experience that has gained a cult following. And I love this game. It's so weird and unique. A very interesting idea, and you can watch a gameplay video of it on my channel where me and Ashley play it. Now, Madden 2002 is one we had growing up. Am I into football? No. Is this game fun? Not really, but I remember it being played in the house, so I included it. If you play long enough, you can unlock weird teams like one of monsters and one of mummies. I only played 20 minutes, and that was enough to remember how much football isn't my thing. Mary-Kate and Ashley Crush Course is a game. I never watched the movies or anything, but I was curious what this game would be like. Well, first you can learn all about the boys in the school. The goal of the game is to find pieces of a note to find out who wants to date us. We also need to pass mini-game school activities. A lot of the mini-games are mini-golf, which is weird. Also, if you don't do good at mini-golf, you get bad grades in school. What the fuck kind of school is this? Tiger Woods School for Minors? Another weird thing is on this field trip, there's a giant poster of the girls. How weird would it be to see a poster of yourself at a mini-golf place? Mary-Kate and Ashley Magical Mystery Mall is a game where you are trapped at the mall, and the only way to escape is to beat the mini-games. I honestly like this one a lot better. There is a game where customers order food and you have to get it for them quickly, and it's kind of fun. And there's this other one where you gotta take photos with boys you don't know, so you can pretend like you do know them. The game is super dumb, but it's one of those so bad it's good games, and I honestly did kinda like it. Medal of Honor is a first-person shooter set in World War II. Normally that wouldn't be my thing, but Medal of Honor plays quite well. This was at a time where console FPSs were not that great, but Medal of Honor planned its controls around that. So even if it is a dated way of playing, it still feels fun. A lot of research went into this game to make it as historically accurate as possible, which I don't know how to feel about that. Because to me, World War II is a tragedy, right? Like if you made a game on other tragedies, it would be a little uncomfortable, right? Like Halo, that's a fictional war, but like World War II, that happened. People fucking died. And even still, there are people still alive that were in World War II. It just feels maybe insensitive to me, maybe, I'm not sure. Because at the same time, it's teaching history, and the game is a great way to learn, and it's a fun game. It's well made. I don't know. I talked to some soldiers about it actually, and basically they told me they had no issue with it. I was thinking too hard and to stop being a pussy. So I guess I'll do that. The game is really unique. It throws enemies at you in small numbers. It can take multiple hits to take out an enemy, and their animations legitimately show that. They also act in tactical ways, and even where you hit them or if they have a helmet, that all matters. The actual knockback power of a gun actually matters here. Also, the sky is kind of like a Galaga, Galaxian colored star thing. Just like in World War II, very historically accurate. Honestly, there isn't any first-person shooter I can think of like this today. It's not as chaotic as the first-person shooters of today, and it's more of a slow fight. If 3 enemies surround you in most FPSs, you're fine. If 3 enemies surround you in Medal of Honor, you might be in trouble. I'm not saying either is better than the other. I happen to enjoy both experiences. Medal of Honor Underground is a little less accurate to World Wars, and has animations that aren't as fun, going for quicker deaths and more enemies. Now the levels can be cooler, like the Paris Catacombs, that was pretty fucking dope. You're this teen girl working for the OSS. Yeah, the OSS, like in Spy Kids, boys. The game is fantastic and well worth the play. I'm honestly surprised GoldenEye took off as much as it did, with Medal of Honor feeling so much better to play. Its multiplayer, however, was 2-player and GoldenEye had 4, so maybe that's got a big thing to do with it. Metal Gear Solid This is one of those games you'll find at the top of ps1 lists as well. And I just finished playing Snatcher by Kojima, so playing this one had me excited. And as I'm sure you can tell, this is a Kojima game.
Nothing. I just didn't expect a world-class designer of military technology to be so cute.
You're just flattering me.
No, I'm serious. Well, I know I won't be bored for the next 18 hours.
Come on. I can't believe I'm being hit on by the famous Solid Snake.
So I learned the controls and stealth killed a guy, and each time I did, I ran into trouble. I wondered what I was doing wrong. Turns out I was supposed to sneak around them without killing them. I don't know why I didn't think of that first. Too much Hitman and Tenchu, I guess. After learning how to play though, I don't know. I don't know if it's for me. I know many of you just left a dislike there. I don't know. I think I'd rather just watch someone play this one than play it myself. NBA Live 98 is a basketball simulation game that I grew up with. It had some funky music, and pushing was the best defense you could use in the game. But more importantly, this was the best basketball simulation game you could get at the time. Is it dated now? Yeah, for sure. There isn't really a reason to ever return to this one.
Stockton. Harper gets it. With the reverse jam. Let's check that dunk on tape.
NBA Live 2002 is another one I grew up with as a kid. I had this monstrous dude named AA that I had created, so I recreated him as close to as I remember. The game is just like Live 98, but with a lot of improvements, both in gameplay and visually. This one was towards the peak of NBA Live though, as other competitors would come in and ultimately 2K would push NBA Live out of the market.
Gets it away. Number 1 gets the pass. Great jam.
I gotta see that again, Don. He completely abused the poor rim there.
There is, however, a small reason to visit this version again. There's a 3-point shootout mode, in which the game rips off Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation beginning before you play.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Then of course, Michael Jordan one-on-one. You can play one-on-ones against any player, or play against Michael Jordan, in a little pickup game. Did I win? No. That's Michael Jordan. Nightmare Creatures is a game with a really cool design and atmosphere. And it has dope-ass monsters. It resembles a PS1 Bloodborne. It's an action game where you kill monsters and solve puzzles to get to the next level. But you have to do it quick, because if your adrenaline meter hits 0, your health goes down. Which is my least favorite part of the game, other than the tank controls. Nightmare Creatures 2 gets rid of the adrenaline meter and adds music by Rob Zombie. This one looks better visually, but sadly the combat is worse, and just singing in general is awful, as the game is way too dark, making it easy to miss so much of what you need to do. As cool as this one looks and sounds, I'd definitely take the first one. Ninja Shadow of Darkness is a 3D beat-em-up with some very bad platforming added to it as well. I'm also pretty sure that Ninja is gay. This doesn't really change the game. I don't know, something tells me he's gay. The game is very arcade-like, and it's brutal difficulty because it has limited lives. At the end of each level, you fight a demon monster of some sort. The game isn't bad, but it also isn't anything special. It's kind of bland, and also, you know how I feel about one-player beat-em-ups. Oddworld Abe's Odyssey is about a factory that's going to start using their slaves as food products, and how you have to escape to free everyone. It's kind of a neat story, but the gameplay is not for me. It's for sure not bad at all, but it's just a lot of puzzle solving and very slow platforming, and that just is not my kind of game. Oddworld Abe's Exodus is also very similar in gameplay, so it wasn't for me. There's a remake of both of these games, but I think losing the pre-rendered backgrounds and characters does take away from the art style, but hey, to each their own. Oddworld Abe's Exodus is also very similar in gameplay, so it wasn't for me. There's a remake of both of these games, but I think losing the pre-rendered backgrounds and characters does take away from the art style, but hey, to each their own. Pac-Man World is a platformer. It's honestly not bad, but it also isn't really anything special. It is charming, but I for sure recommend Miss Pac-Man's Maze Madness over this. Pac-Man World is just kind of bland and forgettable. Again, not bad, just like really average. Parappa the Rappa is a rhythm-based game that anyone can enjoy. Its art style and music is a bit weird, but I kinda like it. And even though I'm not good at it, it for sure paved the way for other music rhythm games.
Alright, we're here, just sitting in the car. I want you to show me if you can get far. Step on the gas. Step on the gas. Step on the brakes. Step on the brakes.
Pepsi Man is a mascot of Pepsi that I don't know if they use much anymore, but it was big in Japan, and it's got its own Japan exclusive game. It's an auto-scrolling running game where you jump and dodge obstacles. AVGN has a review on it, so I recommend you watch that. But yeah, this game is weird, and its art style is great, and the gameplay is okay. I feel like Crash 3 did this kind of gameplay, but better, but it's still worth a play. On top of that, Sonic Adventure 2 actually copied a lot of parts from one of the first stages. Did Sonic 2 do it better? Hell yeah. But it still feels a bit too copied. Persona Revelations is the first Persona game. Persona is a unique RPG. The US version tried to add diversity by changing one kid from Asian to black, but instead that makes it look super racist, and they just left that there. The gameplay seems to have 4 styles. There's this main one where you walk and talk. There's this 3D one where you walk through buildings like a classic dungeon crawler, such as Shining in the Darkness. This weird one where you use this to get around the city. And last of all, the combat, in which you summon beings to fight enemies for you. It's a very unique game, with a lot I like, but unfortunately a lot I don't like. I got a feeling I'll like the newer games more. Persona 2 I liked much better. Persona 1 has the writing of like an edgy teen, but Persona 2's writing is so much better, and I like its story and setting better. Whereas Persona 1 was in a school setting, Persona 2 you're a news reporter, and people have been dying to someone called the Joker. Not the Batman's Joker, but I'm sure that was an influence. This game visually, storytelling, and movement-wise is a huge step up. It also got rid of those awful 3D dungeon sections, and now you run around like this now, and that's so much better. One of the most interesting aspects of this game is the ability to talk to enemies before fighting them. You pick someone from your party to talk to them, and some people will do better talking to the enemies, and some will do worse. I know Elder Scrolls Battlespire tried an enemy talking mechanic, but it sucked. This one actually has a lot of depth and choices, and even if some of those choices make me cringe, this one's got way more depth, you know? I ended up playing like a whole hour of this one before deciding to stop. I decided it wasn't quite for me, but it was close, much closer than the first game. And I actually cared about the characters, unlike the first game. Honestly, this one might be worth a play, but I still want to see how the newer ones feel. I hear the series gets way better after these two. Resident Evil is a game everyone knows. It's a survival horror game, which is not my kind of thing, but I wanted to give it a try. The game has pre-rendered backgrounds that look good and 3D figures. It gives a special look that I kinda like, but now for the negatives. It's got this fixed camera that changes as you move, which can be really disorienting. You also got tank controls, and both of these things I really dislike. I know they're staples of classic survival horror, but again, that's not for me. Also, every time I open a door, I get this, which after a while makes me feel like so much time is being wasted. Resident Evil 2 still has the same issues I talked about from before, but this one was so much more fun to me, because it has a lot more action and a lot more theatrics. And just like all Resident Evil games, this one's cheesy as fuck just like the others. Resident Evil 3. Same issues, but it again amplifies my favorite parts even more. More action, more theatrics. This one's my favorite. I'm still not a Resident Evil fan, but like, this one wasn't bad. It also has this nemesis that comes after you. It's like a boss zombie who seems unkillable and has a bazooka and tentacles. Just adding something like that really adds like a lot to the game. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is a game based off a movie about a game. The game is a platformer that steals like a million things from Crash Bandicoot, but it changes it up by having worse controls and adding pie throwing instead of spinning. I rented this game as a kid, and it's okay. I have like nostalgia for this, but I will admit there are way better games out there. I do have a video of me and Ashley playing it though, if you want to see. Silent Hill, I kinda really like. It's got elements of Resident Evil, but honestly I think it's way better. Or at least it's more up my alley in terms of storytelling and just how it overall feels. I like how an area can look normal but also look creepy, sort of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things. I really like the city being so isolated and weird. I like how they use fog in this game to disguise the draw distance. It gives the game a special look. Also, you run like an idiot. As much as I love map markers and such, this game is small enough that you do not need one, and you will become very familiar with the areas and puzzles. There is a lot of action, but you can also avoid a good chunk of it too. I don't know, I like this game. I can't wait to play the newer ones, as I'm sure they'll make changes I love, but this one, it's a really good start. Small Soldiers is very loosely tied to the movie. This game is a very average third-person shooter where you fight enemies as Archer, leader of the Gorgons. And the music has no right to be as epic as it is in a game that's about toys. Overall, the game is very mediocre. Soul Blade came before the Soul Calibur series, but has a ton of characters you would know from Soul Calibur. Valdo is also a little taller than I remember him being. The game's okay, but it's so basic compared to its predecessor Soul Calibur, I don't see much reason to ever return to this one. Also, you can't sidestep. The Space Jam game is a pretty bare-bones basketball game with some meh mini-games in between. Honestly, there's a lot better basketball games out there, and with how amazing Space Jam's soundtrack is, I'm so disappointed in how empty and music lacking this game is.
By 7. 2 minutes remaining. The Looney Tunes are up by 10. From way downtown. For 2. Toon Squad up by 8.
Spec Ops Covert Assault is a third-person army shooter. Quite a few Spec Ops games were made, but none of them quite stood up to the competition, and they eventually died out. This particular one is my favorite simply because it's the one I know the most. What it does have going for it, though, is that you can play missions co-op split screen. If you play single player, the second soldier just follows you, and you possess their body once your character dies. The first level I played a gazillion times, just like, because I liked sniping. But again, no real reason to return to this. Even in the time it existed, Medal of Honor was a far better shooter. Spec Ops Ranger Elite Ops is one my father rented for us. We were playing co-op, and I was really little. I thought he was an enemy, and I shot him, so he got really mad and fucking slapped me out of my chair, and we stopped playing. But years later, revisiting this, it is kind of a fun mission, but dude, mistaking your teammate for an enemy is an honest mistake, especially for a little kid, when everyone is wearing white and it's ps1 graphics, you know? The fucker did not need to slap me. This one is just about as fun as the other, and everything is about the same. If you've played one, they all kind of work exactly the same. Spec Ops Stealth Patrol is like, what if we took this mediocre game and we made things really dark and hard to see? So now you have to use night vision, and now everything is green all of the time. It's honestly the worst one of these three. I played it and I kept wondering where the fuck I was supposed to be going. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1 is a classic. A fantastic Spider-Man game. It's tons of fun with tons of Spidey characters and Marvel characters in general. Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro takes that gameplay from the first one and tells another story that isn't as good, but it is still fun. I have a whole video talking about these two games in depth because I just love them a lot. But for real, these Spidey games were some of the first things to ever get me into the character, and it's a lot of fun. Spyro the Dragon is a collectathon with a really bad opening.
Misty Nork is a simple creature. Simple! He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom. No threat! Besides, he is ugly. Ugly? That does it!
Looks like I've got some things to do.
Anyway, Spyro seems to be a pretty decent collectathon where you save dragons, and it's worth a play. Spyro 2 is a bit more polished and adds more characters. If you like the first, you'll like the second. And Spyro 3, more of the same, honestly. It's just a lot of good collectathon fun. And a remaster of all three games is out, so that's worth a buy if collectathons are your thing. Star Wars Dark Forces is an awesome Doom-like Star Wars shooter. It's a bit dated, but it's still so much fun, and if you like Doom or Star Wars, this is 100% worth a play. It's a blast. I have a whole video on that, of course I do. But if you'd like to watch that, please do. But basically, it's a great game and worth a play. If you can play it on the PC, it does look a little bit better, but playing on the PlayStation, despite what some people say, is still a perfectly fine way to play it. Star Wars Demolition is a Star Wars vehicle combat game I had growing up. It had its own soundtrack made from scratch, and it sounds amazing, and belongs in the Star Wars world as well. While I'm not into vehicle combat so much, this one I have played a lot as a kid and still return to sometimes. It's unique, so it may take a minute to figure out how to play, but once you do, it can be fun. I've got a 20-minute video on literally everything about this game if you're interested. Star Wars Masters of Terras Casai is a fighting game. You would think a Star Wars fighting game would be amazing, but unfortunately it's one of the worst fighters I've ever played. It's slow, sluggish, floaty, combos are almost non-existent, and special moves are annoying to pull off. On top of that, it's not well balanced. They named this one sand person whore. Fucking whore.
Whore versus fuck.
Visually, it looks okay for the time, I guess, but holy shit, do we need this idea to come back, but better. Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 is a FMV game just like the first, but it's massively better than the first. Still not good, though. It's an on-rail shooter that's okay, but so often the game is ugly enough you don't know what to shoot, especially in later levels. And whenever they have these third-person dodging rail levels, it's always awful. The only time I enjoyed myself were these levels where you duck behind cover and you shoot stormtroopers. These were much better done. But unfortunately, on the whole 2 discs of the game, there's only 3 of those levels. Star Wars The Phantom Menace, in my opinion, is a hidden gem. It feels almost forgotten, but there's a cult following out there for it. Its beginning and end, I admit, are mediocre, but that middle half is like a Star Wars RPG, and it's honestly a lot of fun and gives you a lot of freedom on the stuff you can do. I really love this game, enough that I have a video that's over an entire hour talking about every possible thing there is to say about this game. I recommend you check out that video if interested. But yeah, I think this is worth a play. More so if you can find it on the PC, as the graphics are a little better, but the PlayStation 1 version is fine too. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is honestly pretty fun. I'm not a Street Fighter boy, but my aunt gave me Street Fighter 3 secretly, and I would play it secretly. It also lets the computer fight the computer, which I used to do when I was sick. I would just set up tournaments and just watch a computer fight the computer while being a sick little boy. I was a fucking weird kid, honestly. Stuart Little 2 is honestly pretty good. Bet you weren't expecting me to say that. It's a collectathon featuring Stuart Little. Now, the game has nothing unique about it at all. Its music is coming straight from Buzz Lightyear and Toy Story games, and you can't tell me it's not. And its gameplay of being tiny and in a home while doing a collectathon is already done in Toy Story 2, and like way better. There isn't honestly a reason to play this game when there are ones that are better out there. Tekken starts off with a game of Galaga while it loads, and that's really cool. Not just to show off where Namco's past is, but also to give you something during the loading. Namco was doing great during this time, showing off their past anyway. They released 5 volumes of compilations, which I didn't include here because they're compilations of old games. But even so, I have a video on their museum volumes. Anyway, so Tekken 1 is very similar to Virtua Fighter, moon jumps and all. Honestly, it isn't very fun, and it's got a ton of issues. And I'm a Tekken fan, so it feels weird to say this Tekken isn't good, but it isn't. Tekken 2 steps it up a little bit. It's a bit better, but still has lots of issues. One of the biggest for me is health bars. They go down really fast. You can legitimately be KO'd in 3 attacks. One thing I gotta mention before we move on is the PS1 Tekkens have notoriously uncanny valley cutscenes. It's almost creepy in a way, and something ain't right. It's mostly noticeable in hair and faces, but yeah, these first 3 all have this weird issue. Tekken 3 fixed all the gameplay issues of the first 2. This isn't just a better fighting game, this is an actual good fighting game. This is the start of the franchise being good, in my opinion, and it's so worth a play. On top of that, there's a little bonus mode that's sort of like a beat 'em up, but with Tekken character movesets. In my opinion, this is the best fighting game on the PS1. Tenchu is a ninja stealth game. It's a ton of fun, it's atmospheric, it's well made, it's still fun to play to this day, and I got a video on it. The big issue with it is the voice acting is awful.
I know what you want. You want a stone. It's safe inside my belly. You're not going to get it.
Tenchu 2 is a step up. It's the same gameplay but tweaked just a little better, and it has way more story. 3 story campaigns with different characters, a level creator, better voice acting, and somehow nobody talks about this game. It's a true hidden gem. This game is really, 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 really good and deserves more love. I have a half-hour video on it, because of course I fucking do. A remaster of this game is well needed though, because the graphics do make certain parts of the story feel a bit silly. Tomb Raider is a game where you play as Lara Croft. You explore and deal with awful combat and camera movement. It does have a charm though. I like the tutorial is in her mansion before the mission, but yeah, this isn't for me. Tomb Raider 2 looks a little bit better, but I gotta say, I feel so bad for my butler. He's way too old to be doing this and far too slow. The dude needs to retire, and Laura, who's fucking rich, better make sure that he has the money for that. But yeah, this game is similar to the first, not quite for me. Tomb Raider 3, more of the same. I know these are beloved games, but they just are not for me. I for sure recommend the reboot over the original, and that's not something I say a lot. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is a skateboarding game. I'm neither into skateboarding or sports, but I love this game. First off, it's got a killer soundtrack. Like, I'm not into rock, I'm not into ska, but I still love these. These are amazing. This is basically a game not made for me, but I fucking love it. I'd play the soundtrack, but YouTube's already mad at me about some stuff, so I don't want to get copy striked. Basically, you have 2 minutes to do a series of challenges. These unlock levels until the game is beat. The challenges could be collecting something, or getting challenge points, finding hidden areas, etc. It's honestly a lot of fun. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is somehow even better. They added more challenges and you can play as Spider-Man. I suck at Tony Hawk games, but I still love them. Toy Story 2, despite being a movie tie-in game, is amazing and has a ton of love put into it from not just the little details, but also how much it adds to the story. It's probably my favorite collectathon, and it's just slept on. If you like collectathons, you need to play this. I have 2 videos on it. A gameplay one with Ashley, and a review of it. Toy Story Racer really isn't a good racer, and seems to be made up of recycled things from Toy Story 2, and Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. That being said, it isn't awful. It just really isn't anything special. Triple Play Baseball is one I used to play with my dad as a kid. I think other than that, the only baseball games I've played were Wii Baseball and Backyard Baseball. I've never really been a baseball guy. Now this game is really just baseball. However, what makes it special is it's like cheats and special modes you can unlock by playing the game. Like, you can do big heads, you can do headless players, you can do pulsating heads, and a home run derby where you are tiny people and you get bonus points for destroying stuff your ball hits in a living room. I'm not a baseball guy, but if I'm picking a baseball game, I'm picking this one. Twisted Metal is a car demolition derby game, but with guns and missiles and such. It's alright, good enough that it has a ton of sequels, but it's just not quite my thing. Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour is one of my favorite kart racers ever. Its tracks are based off the Walt Disney World with really fun racing. The downside is that the characters aren't Disney characters anyone would know and are mostly game exclusive ones. I have a gameplay video of this one as well, and I have a full review you can watch. But yeah, I fucking love this game. One of the best kart racers. X-Men Mutant Academy is an X-Men fighter. It's alright, but there are much better fighters. The biggest issue is the balancing. It's so unbalanced. Not only are there some characters that are really weak, but there's also some that are way too overpowered. It's one of those games where spamming the same button over and over again is better than learning how to try to play the game, especially with characters like Wolverine and Toad. It's a fun novelty to play, just nothing to play competitively. It also is a movie tie-in game, so all the characters have movie outfits you can use as well as the comic ones. X-Men Mutant Academy 2 is literally the same game, but with more stuff, making the only reason to play the first one the movie outfits or cutscenes. But like this one already has better cutscenes. Like check this one out. Anyway, the game is the same, but now we got more characters, including Spider-Man, as this game is also promoting the Spider-Man 2 game. You can also play as Professor X, which looks silly as fuck.
Lick my boots while you're down there.
God, I'm dumb. Anyway, that's everything. Let's go ahead and figure out my top 10. So as before, I put these all into their covers, just because I feel like that was better visually. So let's go ahead and figure this out. I got my note pile and I have 90 items. It says 91, but there's a note pile folder. So let's get this down to 10. Jeez, you can hear my computer fucking going off. Anything that is a maybe. Crash Bandicoot 3 is a maybe. Ba-bum. Ba-da-ba-bum. Die Hard Trilogy 2 is a maybe. Fighting Force is a maybe. You all just fucking hate me as I threw Final Fantasy in there, I'm sure. Harry Potter is a maybe. You're like, what? You'd pick Harry Potter and not Final Fantasy? Look, this is my list. If you want, like, the list of the best games, Watch Mojo probably has you covered, maybe. That actually might be a bad idea. I don't know. Let's see. Mary-Kate and Ashley Mystery Mall. I'm not even kidding. It's a maybe. Let's see. But Metal Gear Solid? Nope. Usually my lists are pretty, like, I feel like most people can agree with, but I feel like this list is so different from what everybody else's list would be. Nightmare Creatures? Yeah, okay. Parappa the Rapper, that's a maybe. Pepsi Man, maybe. Persona, no, but Persona 2, maybe. Give me 1 second. Where's moving? Resident Evil. Resident Evil. Silent Hill's a good maybe. Get out of here, Space Jam. Spider-Man, first one over the second one. None of the Spyros. Dark Forces, yeah, sure. Demolition, all these, sure. Let's go ahead and get rid of these two. Please scroll up. Boop. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of this, 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 this. Okay, so we got 24 items left, so that's 23. So actually I gotta get rid of 13. Let me see. Let's go ahead and get rid of Pepsi Man. Let's get rid of Persona. Definitely want to keep Tenchu. Probably want to keep Tony Hawk. Let's get rid of Street Fighter Alpha 3. Please. I'm sorry, Mary Kate and Ashley, you're gone. Let's see. This is pretty good. Let's get rid of Parappa. Let's get rid of X-Men. Okay, so that leaves 18, so that's 17. I need to get rid of 7 more. Let's get rid of Harry Potter. Ooh, it's getting hard now. It's getting hard. Let's get rid of Die Hard. I need 5 more to get rid of. Ooh boy, this is getting hard. Okay, we'll get rid of Fighting Force. One, two, so yeah, I still have four items to get rid of. And this is everything, I think? This is everything. I can see everything in front of me now. Let's get rid of Crash. Let's get rid of Tekken. I think we're gonna get rid of Demolition. Tekken or Nightmare Creatures? Well, both, I guess. We do need to get rid of both. Do I want Nightmare Creatures or Silent Hill? I think Silent Hill. So let's get rid of Nightmare Creatures. Let's get rid of Tekken 3. That's 10. We have 10. Give me 1 second while I go from favorite to least favorite. So at number 10 we got Silent Hill. At number 9 we have Medal of Honor. At number 8 we got Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour. At number 7 we have Toy Story 2. At number 6 we have Star Wars Dark Forces. At number 5 we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. At number 4, LSD Dream Emulator. At number 3, we got Tenchu 2. No way could I not include it in this list. At number 2, we have the Spider-Man game. Fantastic. And at number 1, who's surprised? Is nostalgia playing a part? Could be. It probably is. But I made a whole hour and 10-minute video on this bad boy. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That is my top 10 for the PS1. Thank you for watching. I think I'm doing Dreamcast next, maybe? I don't know. But thanks for watching.